This is your host, Tia. This is your host, Tia. Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Top 10. Live. Geek Vibes Nation. Geek Vibes Nation. Nation. The Top 10. The Top 10. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another amazing episode of the Top 10 by Geek Vibes Nation. As always, I'm your host, Tia, and we took a week off we took last week off because someone had to go on a cruise, but she's back. Everyone give a round of applause for Brittany being back on the Top 10.
I feel like the cats were the same way, except they were almost like, and I expected it because like when we pipelined for so long, the cats would look at us like, who the fuck are you? And the cats warmed up pretty quickly before there, but they almost gave this look like, never leave us again. I can't believe you, which of course, we had Dillard watching the cats, but he was like, they ignored me. He's like, they didn't want anything to do with me.
They were like, Brittany's not here. I don't know who you is. So,
I know. You ain't mom.
Yeah, that's too funny. But I am super happy to have you back. I'm super happy to be doing the Top 10 again. We are doing something fun, right? I figured let's do something fun and easy for your first week back because I'm sure that you're still in vacation mode and all that. Although you did stream yesterday, so, you dipped your toes back in the water.
Stream. I know. I was a little nervous getting back to it because it's kind of different when you're like, man, I was like, it's like riding a bicycle, but, it's also like a little scary sometimes.
Yeah, when you said that you were nervous, I was like, Brittany, why are you nervous? You got this. You do this all the time.
I know. But I'm glad to be back, and I'm glad to be here with you.
Yes. And so our fun new topic that we're doing today is the top 10 cats and dogs in movies and TV shows. Brittany and I were talking before the show and cats, I'm sure it'll be like primarily cats and dogs, but a few other lovable animals in the TV and movie realm along the lines. Did I get that correct there?
Yeah. You good.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Like, listen, Brittany and I are both like animal lovers. We both have pets and everything. And it's like, there are some super memorable cats and dogs that have been in movies and TV shows throughout the years. And we decided that we're going to talk about them today. But yeah, I got to give everyone an update and everything, by the way, before we keep going on. I recently, within the past month or so, got into roller skating. I
swear I'm not laughing at that. It was that I knew where the story was going and it made me start laughing. I'm sorry.
I just wanted to get an update really quick because it's like, so we're recording this on a Monday. So this was Thursday and I busted my ass so badly, like literally landed on my ass. Like I'm in so much pain right now recording this. I'm like hunched over on my chair, just like recording this episode and everything. And my mom was like, well, what are you doing? What do you think you're going to be like the next Tony Hawk? And can I tell you, it's like, there was this little girl at the skate park that came the day before. And I swear this girl is going to I don't know her name or anything, but she's definitely going to be like the upcoming X Games superstar. Cause we had been going to the skate park for a few days and within a few days she had been on roller skates, a bike, a skateboard.
Holy shit.
And she was going in the bowl. She was going down the ramp. She was going as if it was nothing. And so I was like, this little girl has all this courage and everything. I'm a 31-year-old woman. I need to have courage too. Bad fucking decision because I completely wiped out on one of the ramps. I went down too fast, completely flew back and 100% landed on my tailbone.
Girl, I think you broke it because I've met people that broke it and they say it's excruciating. And you know what? You can't do anything about it. You can't wear anything. You can't go to the doctor for it. You just
You
Let
just
it
have to
heal.
ride it out.
Yeah.
It's,
Oh.
oh my God. But yeah, so I just wanted to say if I sound a little weird at any point in this podcast, that is why. But anyway, let's get into the list. Of course, before we do, we have several shout outs right now. We have to get a huge shout out to our friends over at Stranger Damies. We talk about them all the time, and they deserve it because they are so awesome. They are a D&D podcast, and D&D, I feel like, I mean, D&D's been big, since like the 70s, but ever since like Stranger Things came out, it suddenly got this like resurgence of popularity, and they're amazing. Dan, Mark, and Anthony are so freaking cool. We love them. They're going to Comic-Con with us. We're super excited about
I
that.
know. I know. I was talking to Dan. I was like, I kept being update because, I asked him, I said, did you, because I had asked him before about the press badges, if he had heard anything back about it, but he said he didn't think their application actually ever got put in. And so I was like crossing my fingers because he's like, oh, we're going to try to get the badges. We're going to try to get them, and they ended up getting them, and I was so excited. I was like, thank God, because I wanted them to go so bad because we were talking about doing meetups, doing all these fun things, and I was like, and I thought it was funny. I was like, I forgot to tell Tia any of that. It's probably good that she's included on those talks and not just like, oh, by the way, we're doing this.
No, it's perfectly fine. I'm super excited. So everyone, please make sure that you follow Stranger Damies at Stranger Damies on both Twitter and Instagram. Also, really quick, we at Geek Vibes Nation have a new sponsor, Raise Energy Drinks, which, honestly is kind of ironic. I could have probably used some energy when I was skating, so maybe I was a little bit more focused and didn't bust my ass. They're a new sponsor of ours, so we don't have any of their products just yet, but we will put an affiliate link down below in the description of this video where you can get a discount of 15% with our code GVN21. So please make sure that you are going and getting some of that stuff. They got energy drinks, diet supplements, and, snacks. I saw they have like popcorn on their freaking website. So there you go. Make sure you check that out. But Brittany, let's start this list. We had a late start today, so let's just get to it. What is your number 10 on our list of top 10 cats and dogs in movies and TV shows?
Okay, you're gonna laugh. So I know that some of these are gonna be animated, and I was already here for it. I'm gonna go with the Aristocats, but I'm gonna go with the Aristocats. I love Thomas O'Malley cat. I was obsessed with him as a kid, like nobody's business. I thought he was so cool. He had the jazz going on, and it was like, oftentimes, especially like in a lot of movies, there's like, oh yeah, there's mom and dad, but normally do you have like, oh, the father figure that's going to come up and suddenly like, oh no, be the father of your kids for you. I just thought he was so cool because he was just so in love with, what's her name? Princess? I'm trying to remember the mom's name.
I mean, I will say it's been a really, really, really
Duchess.
long time.
I think it was Duchess.
It's been a long time since I've seen the movie, so I can't remember like a whole lot of details. I just remember that I really love the Aristocats, and I feel like no one talked about the Aristocats, which was really weird.
I know. I was going to say, because, it came out in the 70s, and I'm kind of don't remember as much as I would like to. I just always remember that O'Malley stuck out because the song he would sing, how did it go? It's like, I can't remember the name of the song. It's the big song that he has, like, when he's, like when he's singing to like the kittens. But I remember there's some point he's like so in awe of Duchess, like, oh, so in love. But then he sees the kids and he's like, oh, you have kids, that's fine, great, but you have kids. Like almost like that pause for a second. That did make me laugh. But I just thought the jazz was so freaking cool, like how like just his attitude, the way he held himself. But I love all the cats in there. I love Duchess, which I gotta make sure I'm saying that actually is her name, or else I'm going to sound real fucking dumb in a second. Yeah, it was Duchess. Because there was Marie and Toulouse and Belows? I don't know. But either way, I liked all the cats in it. And because I was such a big cat person, especially as a kid, you did have like 101 Dalmatians growing up and watching. Obviously, I was not born in the 70s. But when you were like, oh, I got the big giant cat version, I'm perfectly fine with both of these. Perfectly. Oh, no.
Oh, no. Did you just make a cat pun?
No,
Brittany.
But I know. But do you remember the Aristocats?
Of course I remember the Aristocats. I don't remember much of the Aristocats because, like, the last time I probably watched it was when I was a kid, but I had the freaking VHS tape, so you bet that I watched that a ton of times, and I really enjoyed it. Again, it was like, I just love the whole aristocrats, but they're cats, so Aristocats. It's like, I see you. I see what you're doing there.
Oh yeah, remember the dude that's trying? Edgar. Edgar tries to fucking like drown them in a bag, which is really dark for a kids movie. But he's like, he drugs them, like puts them to sleep, and then throws them in a bag to like throw in the water. I'm like, oh, that's pretty fucked up. That's pretty fucked up.
It was pretty messed up, right? Like when you sit back and think about it, you're like, damn, what the hell?
What the hell?
No.
But yeah, also like O'Malley because he also voiced Baloo.
From Blue's Clues?
In Jungle Book.
Oh.
Baloo.
I don't know why my brain immediately went to Blue's Clues. I was like, Blue's Clues?
We have 1 week off, Tia. We have 1 week off, and this is what happens.
I know. I'm sorry. You know how it is?
No,
shit's just going on.
Right.
Can I tell you, by the way, my parents are watching Black Widow, and my mom is, like, texting me questions, like, just watch it. Just watch it. Like, just watch it, lady.
I still need to watch it. I've been wanting to so bad. I just haven't had the time yet with, the whole 10-hour drive back home sort of thing.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, get on that shit, girl.
I know. I wanted it. I waited months, and now it's here. I'm like, I don't even want it. I'm joking. I want it.
Stop. But anyway.
No.
Yes. Thomas O'Malley from the Aristocats. Not Aristocrats. Aristocats.
Aristocats.
I love it. I don't know why, but I did not have this on my list originally, but it's going on the list, and this is a little bit of a cheat because it's not a cat or a dog, right?
You fucker. If you're about to say it, I swear to goodness.
No, it shouldn't be the same one. It's so out of left field. I was looking at, okay.
Do it. Get it.
It's, oh God, what was his name now? And now I have to look it up and everything because I just saw a picture. It's the Emperor from Emperor's New Groove. First of all, let me just say
my God, I didn't think of that one. Yeah,
Cusco. Okay, there you go.
You'll know why I was giving you that look. No, I love that. That is out of left field. That's a good pick, though.
But he was a llama for most of the movie, so it counts. It definitely counts.
Whenever people are like, "Oh, Disney princesses," I count Cusco.
First of all, okay. So, I mean, I feel like Emperor's New Groove is a Disney movie that no one talks about. People do talk about it now because I feel like as if the gif of, wrong lever has come back.
Wrong lever, crunk.
But it's growing up, I feel like no one talked about it. I'm like, this is so hilarious. So it's okay, yeah, I mean, you got the Emperor Cusco who starts the movie as a human being, and he is an awful human being. He's an emperor, and he's shallow, and he's materialistic and superficial and really demeaning towards the people who work under him. And, anything else that you can really think of just of a spoiled, pompous ass, right?
Yeah.
And then he gets turned into a llama and essentially learns humility, honestly, throughout the course of the movie. And it's just, he's so hilarious and it's just so ridiculous. And again, he's a llama for most of the movie. And I know that like in your, like, if you never heard of this movie or you never watched it, you probably think it's like super silly. Like an emperor gets turned into a llama and that's him the entire movie. But I'm telling you, it's so fucking funny. And David Spade voices him and it's honestly like the perfect voice ever for this character. I don't know. It's just hilarious. It's out of left field. It wasn't originally on my list, but I was looking up like stuff on Google and it popped up and I said to myself, you know what? If Brittany told me that she has a few on her list that aren't cats and dogs, so I'm like, you know what? I'm going to throw this out too.
No, I was obsessed with that movie when it first came out, which is funny. It's another one of those movies. Do you ever feel like you didn't see a lot of Disney movies in the actual theater? You remember like, oh yeah, mom and dad brought home a VHS tape. What is this? You know what I mean? But it's such a good movie. And I think my big thing with Cusco is that I like his change of how he slowly becomes a better person because he fucking sucked at first. I remember going, God, because you ever like, you know, as a kid, the main characters, they're always like these good, kind-hearted people. And yeah, they've made mistakes. They've made bad deals, but you know, they're good people. No, Cusco sucked. Cusco super sucked.
He super sucked.
He super sucked.
Yeah, no, I love him. I think that, you know, it's so funny. You just mentioned before about not seeing a lot of the movies in theaters. Like, yeah, I can't remember ever seeing Lion King in theater or anything else, but I feel as if it was probably one of those things like, yeah, of course they went to theaters, but you know, when you're a kid, your parent probably doesn't want to like sit through a freaking Disney cartoon movie, and you're a kid, so you're probably not going to sit still for 2 hours anyway, so they're not going to waste the money, so they just bought it on VHS tape when it came out, and it was like, here kid, watch this.
your parents be like, why did you never take us to a movie? Be like, because you were a shithead and I couldn't trust you, okay? That's why. That's fucking why.
Oh my God. I do, like, I remember going to the movies as a kid, but I swear to God, I can't remember, like, most of what I saw.
I know. And, you know, looking back for me, I always felt like, oh man, you know, yeah, I was old enough when that movie came out. And I was like, oh yeah, it came out a year before you were born. And I was like, oh, so you got it from my older brother and I just reaped the benefits.
You know, it's so funny. I can't remember most of the movies that I went to go see, but I remember the movie theater that I went to go see when I grew up, because the movie theater was like kind of a weird structure. It was straight up, and like they had a couple of theaters on the bottom, but you had to walk up these stairs to go to the other movies, which like most of the movies were shown in. But it was like so scary to me because the stairs definitely weren't stable, and they were one of those stairs that had a lot of spaces in between, like each step. And so I just remember, like, anytime I went to the movies there, like, purposely trying, and especially when I got older as a teenager and, like, you know, went to go see movies, you know, that you actually wanted to see, I remember, like, picking movies that specifically said that they were on, like, the ground level, because I hated those stairs so much, because they were, like, they so weren't safe, and the movie theater's not open anymore, and I'm like, I understand why.
Right, it was because the fucking, like, you felt like you were going to fall to your death.
That's how I felt every single time, like, okay, quickly get up the stairs. Like, I hated when I was walking, and there's, like, someone in front of you that's walking so goddamn slow, and you can't get, like, around them. And I just remember hating the staircase. It's such a random memory, but I remember it.
I love it.
Sorry, you were going to say something?
You just reminded me, I don't know why. Oh, I was saying you reminded me of like silly kid things, like of the fears you have. I remember one time riding back from my grandparents, and I was looking out the window and didn't realize I fell asleep, and it was nighttime, right? Mm-hmm. And I was looking up at the trees, and they're like the limbs turning into like big teeth, and I was like, it traumatized me forever. You never sit there and go, nah, I had a little nightmare and I imagined all of it and it never happened. But I'm telling you, even as an adult, I don't like driving down that way because I think something's going to happen to me.
I have like, all right, this is super random, but I have like past trauma of like branches from trees because
Oh no.
near me they used to do like haunted forest walks or some shit like that, and I
The
was
fuck?
and I was like younger, and I remember it was like me, I think my mom, my aunt, my cousins, my aunt's husband at the time, and like I don't know, I forget like fully what happened, but like long story short, like whoever was in front of me like moved a branch out of the way so that like he could go through. I think it was like my aunt's ex, which he was whatever.
Oh shit.
But anyway, it ended up like freaking smacking me. It was like a thin branch, but like ended up smacking me like right dead in the eyes and everything like that. So like from that day, I have like this thing about like branches.
Girl, you have like a myriad of like fucking like just random shit that happened to you that you're like, well, this scarred me, and this also too scarred me. And you know what? That one, I can believe it.
I'll tell you one last story before we move on in this list. Everyone listening is probably like, what are they doing? I was in softball when I was younger. I was quite athletic when I was younger. Not now, but back then. And my mom like dropped me off to softball practice, and she's leaving, right? She wasn't staying. She was like leaving, and she's like, bye, honey. And I'm like in the freaking like second base or whatever, like whatever, the outfield, right? And I like turn and I'm like waving to her, not realizing that like whoever was up to bat like already hit, and it fucking like went right into my goddamn nose, and like I just started bleeding everywhere. Ever, like right as I turned back to the game, it just like
making me laugh so hard. I'm so sorry. It's the imagery.
You gotta ask my mom next time you see her and everything. It's like, why did you say goodbye to me in that moment? It was such a bad timing.
Yeah, I was thinking too. It's like, with your mom, I was thinking, when I was on that cruise and I was having eggs Benedict, and I was thinking, man, these are great, but they're not as good as Tia's mom's like eggs Benedict. And so every time I think of your mom, I think of eggs Benedict. But now I'm gonna think about this fucking moment.
I will say I love eggs Benedict. I don't know if I ever told you I judge diners on like how good their eggs Benedict are. Like if I get an eggs Benedict at a diner and it doesn't run, the diner's automatically trash in my eyes.
Oh shit. Goes to Gordon Ramsay's restaurant, doesn't get a runny egg. Fuck this place.
Fuck this place. But anyway, we are getting so off track. I'm so sorry. Let's get to number 8. Brittany, what do you got for us?
I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna go with Bagheera from Jungle Book.
Oh yes. Yes,
it's the Black Panther.
I mean, he's technically a cat.
He's technically a cat. That's why I said it's a cheat, but it's not a cheat. I love Bagheera because I think for me growing up in the Jungle Book, it's like, everybody was always obsessed with Baloo. It's Baloo. It's Baloo. And I was like, this fucking panther just straight up was like, I gotta get Mowgli to like the humans, the man cub, back to his what do they call them? His they called it something like the what they call the humans. To the men. But he was so protective. He was the reasoning. And I thought it was so cool because, a lot of times when you do have the, a panther or something that's more of a predatory type animal, they're always the bad guys, and that was kind of the thing with Shere Khan, being the tiger that's the bad guy. But it was nice to have like Bagheera, really take Mowgli under his wing. And I remember I was obsessed with Bagheera as as a child. And then when the live action came out, I was like, I still love Bagheera as much as I did as a child. Like, find you someone that treats you like Bagheera treats his man cub.
I used to love Jungle Book as a kid. Like, I loved it because it felt so different from like other animated movies that I was watching. Like I love the animation style. Obviously, you love the story and the songs and everything like that. And again, this comes from one of those things where it's been a really long time, so my memory is not very good with it, but I loved like how cool this cat was. Like that sounds really corny, a cool cat, but I did love this character. I loved all the characters in the Jungle Book. I never saw the like remakes because to me, I'm a little bit of a purist when it comes to the cartoon movies where I'm like, they can't. Although I will say that I didn't mind the remake of Lion King because it essentially was like a verbatim freaking remake. Just like it's as if they just took the animation style and just transferred it to being like quote unquote live action, like, you know, computer animated now at this point.
Yeah.
But I didn't watch them just because to me I was like,
I actually liked it.
Did you?
The live action of this one was pretty good. Like,
okay.
Like I think I saw it with Aaron, and even he was like a little bit like, at first because you know the movie's so near and dear. But even we were like, you know what, this is pretty good.
Did you see they made like a darker version just called like Mowgli or something like that?
Wait, let me look it up. Let me see this Mowgli. I can see them doing that though.
Yeah,
like,
I think
Legend
like
of the
Andy
Jungle.
Serkis had something to do with it.
Oh, I think I saw that one too.
Yeah. I mean, Andy Serkis does really good work. So, I mean, I heard good things about it. I just never got to like.
It looks
watch
scary as fuck though. It's got terrible reviews though. I like this little thing. I was like, oh, that looks good. And I was like, that kind of sounds familiar. I looked at it and I was like,
you can't go by the reviews.
Ever?
What? Go ahead.
My mom, every time we would grow out our toenails, like, because we're, you know, being a child, she's like, okay, let me come over here and clip your toenails. She'd be always call us Mowgli because we had let our, like, toenails get too long. And that's all I remember as being a child from that.
Oh, my God. I was just going to say, whatchamacallit, you can't go by reviews, right? There are so many things that I've enjoyed. And you go and see them, and they have, like, terrible, terrible reviews. And I'm like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, all I'm thinking about is all the terrible movies that we thought were going to be terrible just because there was an actor in it that we're like, this is going to be great. It's going to be great. He's going to carry, his back is going to be so sore from carrying this entire movie. And then ends up being good. And you're like, wait a second, you weren't supposed to be good.
Oh, my God, what was that recently that I felt that way? Oh, man. Probably Argo is the best example I can, like, think of that, because for the longest time I really wasn't, like, a Ben Affleck fan, and so I saw that Scoot McNairy was in Argo, and I'm like, fine, I'm just watching it for Argo, and then I was like, fuck, this is a good fucking movie.
Oh, no, it's good.
It's so good. But yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, like, I think about that sometimes, because how many, like, I would have never watched probably Taboo, like, just been like, oh, I'm going to watch it, and I was like, oh, well, Tom Hardy was in it, you know, maybe it's good, and you're like, oh, no, I'm in danger.
I'm in danger. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed Jungle Book. I love the characters, love Bagheera. I mean, anytime you have, like, a panther in your movie, it's going to be cool, because panthers are inherently cool.
Right.
Have you ever watched things on, say, big cats in the wild, you know? And you sit there and you're like, man, they look so cool, but get away from me.
Yeah, but fuck that. Yeah, no thank you.
Like,
you can go stay in your neck of the woods and I'll stay over here.
Like, I watched something where they were talking about how these, like, two cheetahs have, like, lived their entire lives, you know, in, like, not out in the wild and everything. And they're, like, super playful and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, that's so cute. But still, no.
Yeah, right? Well, they're like, oh, you know what? It's like when people are like, oh, my dog won't bite. And you're like, I don't trust it. Oh, my God. I believe you. I ain't trusting.
Oh, my God. That happened with Lady. That happened with Lady a few weeks ago. Freaking, she, like, nipped at this kid. You know, because like kids don't know how to act with like dogs and shit like that. They're all like, "Puppy, let me start smacking your freaking forehead and everything." And like the dog. So now whenever people are like, "Can my kid say hi to your dog?" I'm like, "No," because I don't know if she's gonna bite your kid.
Yeah, I know where you're like not child friendly. I feel like I get on that side of TikTok where the person's like, my dog isn't friendly. My dog isn't friendly. That's why they're on the leash. They're not friendly. And the person still comes up like, oh no, it's fine. The dog tries to bite them, and then they're like, oh my god, I can't believe your dog tried to bite me.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like I don't think of my dog as violent. Like I don't have to sit there with a like muzzle on my freaking dog. But it's like she's sensitive. You know, you gotta like go to her gently. You can't just be like, let me start petting you, you know, and it's just not a good time.
Oh no, the last time I was there, she was a vicious monster.
Oh my god, stop it. My dog is literally 7 or 8 pounds, all right? She doesn't do anything. She like whines mostly and then like nips at you. She just whines. Oh. That's what she was doing. She hates me now at this point because I only say it because, so the skate park that I like completely demolished my tailbone at has like grass area and everything, right? And when she came out, like we took her, right? She was rolling around and there were ticks on her. Like there were 2 ticks on her freaking face. So
ticks don't exist in New York.
Yes, they do. And so when we brought her home, we were looking and we found like 3 other ticks in her like neck area, right? So like now she gets like, she's like, every time I pet her, she's like looking at me like, you're not picking at me, are you? And it's like, no, babe, I'm just trying to pet you now.
She's sensitive, Tia. She's sensitive.
I might as well call her Brittany at this point.
Listen here, bitch. Listen here. I mean, that thing where it's like, if you're going to call me a bitch, you better put sensitive ass in front of it. That's me.
Oh my god. Anyway, let's move on. Oh wow, we're just like on the like animated train right now. Now, I don't have a whole lot to say about this dog, but I feel like I wanted to put this dog on the list as a number 7 because it is the saddest episode really of any animated cartoon. Do you know where I'm going with this?
No, I don't want it. You know what? Podcast over.
It's the like saddest episode of any animated show ever, and I actually can't watch the episode. I watched it once, and that's it.
Oh my god.
And it's the episode of Futurama, which if you're familiar with Futurama, you're like, that show's funny and weird and sarcastic. It can't be sad. Well. There's an episode in it that because I'll get for maybe we're now a little older and maybe people don't know what Futurama is. Futurama was made by the same people behind The Simpsons. It takes place in the future and it centers around this guy Fry who was living during like the Y2K era. And during a New Year's like Eve celebration, accidentally gets cryogenically frozen and wakes up thousands of years in the future, where the world is just fucking insane and yada yada yada. So there's this episode that showcases Fry's past, that he had a dog who would always be with him as Fry was at work at a pizza place, and when Fry gets cryogenically frozen, the episode literally shows how the dog oh my god, I'm gonna cry talking about this, every single day showed up to the pizza place waiting for Fry to show up, and obviously Fry never showed up, and so this dog literally died there because the dog just waited for Fry every single. Oh my god, it is the saddest freaking episode ever. You know, I was like, I can't believe Futurama is making me feel this right now.
You know what gets me even worse about that episode is Fry, you know, he has the chance to bring the dog back, Seymour, and he ends up like, you know, and Bender's all super jealous because he's like, oh, you know, I'm your best friend, and he kind of sits there and he's thinking about it, and he's like, you know what? I bet, you know, Seymour lived like a great life or something like that.
Yeah.
And then the credits.
That's right.
Credits. Oh, so they fucking just like, they punch you in the fucking did.
That's
Tia.
right.
They put
He
you
was
in
like,
the-
he was like, I'm sure he lived a nice, fulfilled life, and they showed that literally, like, Seymour's life was just waiting for Fry. Oh my god. Oh my
Oh, I hate it. It makes me sick. Tia,
god.
why? Why?
The episode is called Jurassic Bark, and it's the 7th episode of the 4th season. Holy shit.
Fuck that season. Holy shit. That's like, did you ever watch Full Metal Alchemist?
No, I never watched it. People were super into it, though, I remember.
Do you know about the Chimera?
No.
Just a quick explanation. So these two kind of go hand in hand of like super fucking upsetting shit. In Full Metal Alchemist, there's the alchemist, and it's all about the law of equivalent exchange. If you're wanting to make salt, then you need to exchange, the ingredients that is found in salt, right? To make it happen. Just kind of like gold. What's worth as much as gold? You have to do something equivalent. And there's like, I think it's like state alchemists, right? There's like people that have passed an exam to do it. Well, there was a guy that was an alchemist that he had created a chimera, a creation of combining two different things together, like living things, like a snake and a dog type thing, right? Mm-hmm. And, the brothers, they meet this guy. The guy has a little girl, and she's the sweetest thing, and she loves Edward and Elle, which are the brothers of, the show. And she has a dog. Well, he's about to lose, the dad's about to lose his license. No, it's been a while, so I may have some of this incorrect. He created a chimera at some point, but he can't replicate it, and he's in trouble of like losing his license over it. So at some point Ed comes back and the little girl's not there, and the dad's so happy because he finally created another chimera. But the chimera is that he took his little daughter and her dog and joined them together into like this like creature that can hardly speak. And she looks at Edward, the creature looks at Edward and goes, Edward. Because it's the only fucking word it can say. And the fucking realization that he just sacrificed his own daughter just so he could keep doing his experiments. And then you find out the reason the little girl didn't have a mom is because the original chimera was her mother.
Oh my god. That's intense.
Yeah, that scene, like you had to, it's like one of those things where you had to be there, but it's so traumatizing, that moment, because everybody loved this little girl. Everybody loved this character. And like you sit there and you're like, oh, well, this is fucking terrible. I'm gonna go die now. Thank you.
Thank you very much for
Thank you.
1 second. Hang on. I'm pausing this. All right. Sorry about that. I had to pause for a quick second. We are back, though. So, yeah, Fry's dog, Seymour, super fucking sad.
Depression.
Depression. Let's move on, though, to our number 6. Brittany, you got this. What do you got for us?
Let me see here. By the way, I love the gift you sent me. Love it.
For those who can't, we gotta keep the audience on the inside. We can't.
I was about to say it.
Okay. I was gonna say, we can't have the inside joke. We gotta share.
Tia was sharing me a gift from Black Widow because she knows I love Alexi, even though I haven't actually seen him in the movie yet because I haven't seen it. There was a very cute scene from there that I was like, ooh, Alexi. Just know it involves a pig.
Yeah. It's very related to the podcast since we're talking about animals, right?
All right, it's perfect. You already knew.
All right, but yeah, let's move on to number 6.
Let me see here. I'm going to do, this movie was so near and dear to me. I'm going to go with Sassy from Homeward Bound. Because, did you ever watch Homeward Bound? I probably because I've spoken about this movie before.
Sassy. I mean, I already love the name.
Yes. Okay, I can hear you clicking. You're like, let me look this up.
Well, I'm also doing it for like, my list. I do a list, girl.
I know you do.
But
list,
let me
so
actually know. Homeward Bound. Okay.
So with Homeward Bound, it's a story about, no, it's been a long time since I've seen it, but this family, I think they're like, I don't know if they went on a trip or they moved or something, but they got separated from their animals. And they had Chance and Shadow, which one was I think an American Pit Bull, one was a Golden Retriever, and one was a cat, and that was Sassy. And it's about this journey of them trying, I think they're states away, that something happens that they get separated from their family. And, I don't know what it was. I really don't remember if they just thought, the family was gone, but either way, they go on this statewide journey, it feels like, to get back to their family. But it's all live action. It's real animals, but they give these voiceovers, each of the animal. It was really creative for the time. They didn't really the dogs didn't, it's almost imagine they were almost communicating telepathically, their mouth isn't moving, there's no CGI, there's no nothing, it's just them going on a mission. And I think Sassy was a Himalayan cat, very like a Siamese cat, but super fluffy, basically. And she's very she's sassy. She's very she wants to get back to her human. She belongs to the daughter of the family. She's very prissy at first because she's not want to go on this adventure, but she loves them and she wants to get back to the family. But she's so cute, and it's she really brings up the strength because she's the type of cat that she can't really fight back. She's not going to really survive, and I think at some point she nearly drowns, and this nice older man finds her, and there's this scene where he's giving her milk and wiping her little face, and I remember just being obsessed with this cat because sometimes they almost portrayed the cat as very aloof. She doesn't care, blah, blah, blah. And it's no, she really loved her family and she just wanted to see her little girl again. And she wanted to go back to the family. And even though she's not really made for that adventure, she's I got to do it for my human. And I love cats, Tia. I could put Chance and Shadow on there too, because Chance is very young and, Shadow's old. Which Shadow is very much a little boy named him, right? Which the son's older, but Shadow, the Golden Retriever, is supposed to be older. And at the end of the movie, when they all make it, Shadow doesn't show up. And the dad just touches the son's shoulder and he's Shadow was getting old because he was an old dog. And the boy is just so sad because he's the eldest son. He's had this dog all his life, basically. And at the very end, Shadow makes it over the hill because he did make it, and I just cry every time. So good. But yeah, I love Sassy. I could have put Shadow there because Shadow was the leader. He's older, and Chance was young buck, yeah, which he gets slapped with a porcupine at some point. And it's pretty awful.
Yeah, so I never saw Homeward Bound, but you have spoken about this film before, and I just looked up Sassy. I love cats like this. They're so pretty.
She's so fluffy. On our list of things, since I am coming to New York, because me and Tia did get our press badges for New York Comic-Con, which I was going to see you anyways. That's the one thing I was fuck, if it doesn't work out. And I was well, I still get to see my Tia anyways. Oh my
God, you were so, can I tell everyone, she was such so negative about this. I was Brittany, chill out. And she was just worst case scenario. I'm why are you preparing for a worst case scenario? It'll be okay.
Okay. Let me go through my thought process, okay? Mm-hmm. We put in for the application late because normally you get an email that says, hey, press applications are open, go ahead and do this. We never got the email. And I randomly looked and was I wonder when those applications are. We were 2 days late. Well, kind of late. And so I sat there and I was well, fuck, things are just starting to open back up from COVID, which I'm pretty sure Arkansas is about to go with another mask mandate because people weren't vaccinating like they should. Now we're the second least safe, only beaten by Missouri for COVID cases rising because people didn't get vaccinated.
Congratulations, Brittany.
Yeah, congratulations. I love it. Everybody loves being named second least safe state, which, I got vaccinated. Entire family's vaccinated. All those good things. Stay safe out there. Well, yeehaw. So, we were sitting there and I was like, okay, they said they were basically greatly reducing how many people they were going to allow in the convention, talking about how everything really got cut short, had to put all these things, they weren't doing the 4-day passes because they knew people were going to, open up more chances for more individual days, which I'm also like, you probably got a lot shit ton more money out of that, but because you still allow for everybody to buy one of each day. Yeah. So I sit there, I'm panicking because we got the on sale. It was supposed to happen Sunday, and all week leading up, there was still no approval or denial. And I was like, well, I need to know before I just, hit Sunday. And I'm like, okay, roll the dice, should I go ahead and buy the ticket just in case, just in case it doesn't happen. And then 2 days before it goes on sale, we get our approvals in, and I start seeing the mass influx of denials that came through on Twitter. And I'm like, my heart wanted to stop. As soon as I got the approval, my parents were laughing at me because we were on this cruise, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm just looking at the approval email. I'm just looking at it. And they're like, you've already looked at it. I'm like, yeah, but I'm looking at it again just to make sure it's real.
I was just like, okay, I don't know. I guess if there's one thing 2020 and most of 2021 has taught me is you can't plan. You just gotta go with the flow. So, when you said, oh, look, and I looked and I got approved as well, I was like, cool. And that was it.
My butt cheeks were so clenched. They were so clenched.
Anyway, clenched. On that note, let's move on. Number 5, let's do this. Oh my God, I can't. I am going to put Salem from Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
That is an awesome one, but you will be so upset with me. I didn't like that show growing up, but I loved the cat. I love Salem. And
that's the thing is that I didn't really watch the show growing up. I watched it. I definitely watched the show, but I, whatchamacallit, I wouldn't put it up there and say oh, Sabrina the Teenage Witch was one of my favorite shows ever, or anything like that. It was mostly one of those things that I just watched because it was on, right? And I didn't check out, the new, what's it called? Sabrina show that's on Netflix or anything like that. Long story short, I won't say that it's again, my favorite freaking show, of my younger years, but you can't help but love the cat Salem just because how sassy he was and how amazing.
Sassy.
And I think after that, everyone wanted a black cat. Everyone was like, it'd be really cool to have a black cat because maybe they too will start actually talking.
You want to know something funny about that?
What?
One of my best guy friends has a black cat named Salem. And my other friend, Tucker, just got a black kitten and named it Salem.
And that is definitely a trend. It's you get a black cat and it's what are you going to name the black cat? Oh, probably Salem.
Because you're at that point where you're yeah, everybody named it that, but I really love this name, so I'm going to do it anyways. And you know what? I feel that. I have a ton of friends with animals named Toby, but I can't help it. I love the name Toby.
Oh, that's everyone I knew at one point named their animal Coco. Whether it was a dog, a cat, it was by the way, if you hear my dog squeaking a toy, Polly just got home, so of course all the animals are celebrating in unison.
I just heard Lady's little growls.
Did you hear her growl?
Growls. I heard her growl. I was like, what is that? And I was like, oh man, that's funny.
I should have called Lady Salem, apparently. But anyway, the whole point is Salem was an awesome cat because it reminded me also, did you ever watch, I feel like we've talked about this and I feel like you've told me no, which would make me really upset, but you watched Hocus Pocus growing up, right?
Oh my God, yes.
All right, well, there's so many things
yes.
There's so many things that I like, mention. You're like, I never watched that. And I'm like, okay, well, you suck.
No, she'll fuck you too.
But remember in Hocus Pocus, there was also a talking cat, a talking black cat, right? And so you were like, that was the thing. It was like, if you had a show about witches or a movie about witches, you needed a talking black cat that was incredibly sassy because Salem was sassy. And I forget the cat's name in Hocus Pocus. I think it was like Tobias or something like that. But he was sassy as well. So it's like you needed them to be sassy.
I'm trying to think of what the cat's name was. It was
like
Thackeray. Binks. It was Binks.
Binks, yeah. There you go.
Because his name was Thackeray Binks.
Yeah, so my point is saying is like back then, like I loved Hocus Pocus growing up and I did watch Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and honestly like the most alluring thing about that was the fact that you had the sassy ass black cat. So yeah, Salem.
Right?
Salem is my choice there. I know you didn't like Sabrina the Teenage Witch, which is fine, I personally was a bigger fan of Clarissa Explains It All. But what did you think about Salem?
I think for me as a child, when that show was out, I was more in the phase of I don't care about these teenage drama bullshit. I don't care, just not caring about those things more aimed for teenagers because I was a child and I didn't care about boys and I didn't care about my clothes. You know what I mean? But looking back, I'm like, God, I would have been really into that show probably if I was just a little bit older when it came out.
I mean, that wasn't the interesting thing about the show. The interesting thing was that literally she was a witch and had like 2 witch aunts. And a sassy cat.
I get that too, but it was... I get that too, but I'm saying it was aimed towards, I think, a little bit of an older audience than what I was. Because let me see when Teenage Witch. Let me see. Because what was it called again?
It was called Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Sabrina, that's what it was. I could remember all of it. It came out in 1996. I was 2 years old.
That is true. I was 6. And again, it was like, watching it because, again, it was like, oh, cool, witches, like Hocus Pocus. And then also it's like, I hope that's what high school's like.
I know. Do you ever remember being a kid and having such like hopeful dreams of like what high school would be and making all these friends and hopefully for me, I was like, I want to be popular. I want to be a cool kid. I want to be like that. And then as an adult, you're just like, as a teenager, you're like, fuck that. That's too much fucking work. Holy shit.
I mean, I will say the one thing about like high school is, you watch all this stuff and it's like, I know that obviously this happened. People have had these experiences, but it's like you watch all these things from like the 80s and stuff, and they're like, it's a horrible thing, high school. You're going to get there and you're going to get beat up 24/7, get ready to have swirlies and your glasses broken and
God, right?
And then so it's like in your head you're like, oh my God, that's what high school's gonna be like. And then you get to high school and it's like so the opposite. It's like no one really gives a fuck. Like
stay in your lane.
Yeah, there's different groups. Obviously, you get grouped up with the people who you have similar interests in. But there was no like, come here, nerd. I'm gonna put you in a locker. Nerd. Put you in a locker, And like,
oh my gosh.
And don't get me wrong, like I forgot if I said this on air beforehand, but it's like, I was watching this TikTok that was like, oh, what's something that's popular now that you got made fun of when you're a kid? And we talked about like wearing black lipstick, and there were like, say, 2 girls who like would go, ew, you wearing black lipstick. But it wasn't one of those things where it's like they were the popular girls and da-da-da. It was literally like just these two girls had their opinion, and then I would like go off to my group of fellow goths and go, the assholes, you know, and then like go, you know what I'm saying? So like so wasn't what they made it out to be in movies and shit. And again, I'm sure people have had those experiences to even like come up with things like that in the first place. But I grew up in the 90s, not the 80s. So I guess maybe that too is a big difference. No one was calling each other brace face or four eyes.
Right. I was gonna say, by the way, you would have loved my my boss. You know, he's the IT director and everything of my college. Well, he had a goth phase. Not goth phase, sorry. He was goth growing up, and I said, so was it just a phase? And he just slowly grinned. He said, I used to drive a hearse until recently. I was like,
shit.
You drove a hearse? He said, but they told me it didn't look professional, so I retired it.
You retired the hearse. You retired the hearse. I love it.
I retired the hearse. I know, but I was like, that's pretty badass.
Honestly, the biggest like disappointment of my high school years was that I didn't have a talking cat called Salem. So
right, bringing it back.
Bringing it back.
Bring back to you.
Bringing it back. But yeah, so that's my number 5 is Salem from Sabrina the Teenage Witch. I'm sure there are plenty of people who are listening who can agree that we all wanted a talking sassy cat. Just like Sassy from Homeward Bound. Bringing it all back here. But Brittany, let's move on to number 4. What you got for us?
I'm going to go with Mufasa.
Yes.
From Lion King.
Technically a cat.
I'm sorry if that was on your list. I'm sorry.
No, he was on my list because I didn't even think about, like, Lion King. And then you sit there and you're like, wait, they're cats. Obviously.
I know. That's why I said, literally, I told you, I was like, I have some that technically are, but it's cheating, and I'm going to go with it. I'm going to go with Mufasa because I don't know what it is. I had such a, like, it's the fatherly figure aspect. Do you ever feel like you didn't get enough of Mufasa? Like, he's like this great leader. He was very gruff. You know, he's very, not gruff in that sense, but very, very authoritative, but also, like, fair. And you're just like, oh, you know, he's so great. You know, he's going to really teach Simba to be this great leader. You know, he's so gentle with Simba. You know, he's never harsh on him. And then you're like, oh, he's dead. He's dead. He was the best part of this movie, and now he's dead. Because the way, even with his brother, like, he was so, like, I don't know which one's older, by the way. I think I would assume Mufasa, but like Scar, they were just such total opposites. Though I thought Scar was so cool growing up too, I won't lie. And Simba got great, but
any character that's named Scar, you're like, he's cool.
He's cool. What's bad is like when you're like, oh, it started early, because even my Twitch chat's like, Brittany, why do you love villains so much? They're like, you know, they're not good. And I'm like, you answered your own question.
It's like, did they not watch Lion King growing up and see, like, Scar had the best musical numbers, the best lines, like the best.
The Be Prepared number, holy shit.
Amazing. The Be Prepared number was the best. I will say, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you know how I said, like, I didn't mind the live action version of Lion King because to me it was kind of like a play-by-play, like, redo. But I will say that the Be Prepared scene did not hit the way it hit in the cartoon version.
Oh, it's so sad.
I know. But anyway, sorry, you were talking about Mufasa.
No, I love it. But like between Scar and Mufasa, I just thought those two were so great. And like with Mufasa, it was just like, he made you want more out of that character, and almost that sentence of like, oh, that's it. That's the end of an era. You know, it kind of gave me like T'Challa vibes with his father.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like because where you have this like great, you know, he's the king, you know, very fatherly figure, great, and then you're like, oh, he's gone.
And then once he's gone, because doesn't Simba even have a moment where he kind of questions what Mufasa did in pushing Scar out, because essentially that made Scar what he was, and that was a key scene in, say, Black Panther, where T'Challa finds out how T'Chaka pushed out Killmonger, and he kind of questioned. Like, I feel like there is that similar theme there, so you could say definitely that there is that, like, similar sort of relationship.
I don't know. I think that was like, it was funny. I was like, I was going to bring up that point, but I didn't know how to go about it. But you got it, girl. You said exactly what I wanted.
Thanks. But I will say Mufasa was awesome. I mean, first of all, he's voiced by James Earl Jones. Anything that has James Earl Jones, I'm sorry. Like, it's weird. I don't know if it's weird to say, like, I'm a fan of James Earl Jones, because I can't really point out and say, like, you know, obviously, you know, he did Darth Vader, he did Lion King. I know that he's done, like, Shakespeare and everything, but I can't, like, say, like, oh, I know every single, like, piece of work he's done. But you know when you hear his voice, you're like, ah, cool, it's going to be good, because James Earl Jones is different.
Right? No, I agree. I think it's one of those people that's so well known for their voices that you just automatically assume. That's all you need to know.
Yeah. And, like, Mufasa was so caring to Simba. You know, him talking about the kingdom, anything the light touches is ours, and, you know, X, Y, and Z, and how he behaved. And I'm telling you, as a kid, the scene where, you know, Mufasa with the stampede, like, you felt actual terror during that scene. And when Mufasa's, like, getting up and Scar's there and he's like, brother, help me, and Scar's just like, haha, bitch, no. and you were just like,
you have a moment. Do you ever, like, watch that scene and hope for a different outcome?
Yes, every
even
time
though
it's like
going to happen.
Yeah, you rewatch it and you're like, maybe Scar will not be a piece of shit and actually help out Mufasa this time. And it's like, no.
I would love a like a variant, like shit of. I mean, we already got like. By the way, just a simple yes or no. I saw a poster for Loki. Why is there an alligator wearing Loki's horns? Because now it's getting a little intense.
There's different variants of Loki, and in one timeline, Loki is an alligator.
Why?
I don't know. I will say, spoiler alert, the episode where they explored all of the, like, not all of it, but a bunch of different variants of Loki was so fucking cool.
There's just so many.
Yeah. No,
There's just so many.
He's an alligator at some point. We were all confused, including, like, the Loki that we follow in the show. It was a bit of a confusing time. So yeah.
There's so many.
There's so many. But yeah, I love Mufasa growing up. You listen to him and you're like, wow, such wise words. Like, this is like you sit there and it's one of those things, like, you know how everyone always says that Robin Williams was like everyone's uncle, like America's uncle, right? I don't know why, but like Mufasa was everyone's dad. I think you're like,
oh, I like that. Yeah, it was like you aspired to be a great king.
Yeah, right. Like, everyone needs a Mufasa in their life. So yeah, Mufasa, great character. I love Lion King. Like, I sit there and I think Lion King is my second favorite Disney movie of all time. I will still always say that my number one is Mulan. That will never change.
It's funny. I was about to ask you, I was like, well, what's your first instant was like, oh, it's Mulan. I know it's Mulan.
She saved China. Okay.
Oh, and now all of China knows you're here. And I'm like, ooh, I got chills.
I'm not kidding you. Like, as a 31-year-old adult, right? If I put that movie on right now, and the scene where the emperor tells Mulan that she saved all of China and everyone starts bowing, I will literally start crying. I know that has nothing to do with the podcast, but it's like, in that scene, he's like ripping her to shreds, right? He's like, you disrespected this. You went against orders. You did this. You did that. And you're like, oh, this guy's not even thankful for what Mulan did. Then he's like, and you have saved China. And I'm like, no. Every time.
Oh my god.
It gets me every time.
I cry every time.
Every single time. But anyway, sorry. Mufasa. Yes, number 4. Moving on to number 3. I really like this character, right? We always talk about how the movie was, maybe not the greatest movie or anything, even though I enjoyed it. Like, I don't sit there and say it's one of the worst Marvel movies in the MCU, right? Because I can still be entertained by it despite everything. But I'm sorry, I love Goose from Captain Marvel, the cat, or should I say...
That's awesome.
Or should I say the
I didn't
Flurkin?
even think that one.
Oh my god, I love this cat so much. Like, first of all, who doesn't love an orange cat? Like, for those who are listening, I have an orange cat. His name is Sunny. And so, Captain Marvel, there's this cat Goose that goes on a space adventure with both Carol Danvers and Nick Fury and Monica, Rambeau and everything like that, right? So, this cat, you're like, cool, this cat is going through a lot. What a time, right? And you find out...
You could say he's a pretty cool cat.
He's a pretty cool cat. And then at some point in the movie, you find out it's not a cat. It's what is called a flurkin. And this flurkin literally shoots like tentacles out of his mouth and like eats things.
I was like, when I watched it, I was like, oh, they're just scared of it because they don't know what a cat is.
Yeah, when Talos is all like weirded out and it's like, haha, I get it because he's an alien from space. He's intimidated by this little like assassin and everything like that. Ha ha ha. And he's just like, that's not a cat. And it's like, what are you talking about? And then when you see the freaking thing like do its thing and literally you're like, oh, I get it now. It's not a cat.
Yeah, my whole thing, I'm like, by the way, with the Nick Fury thing with his eye, and it's like, how he made like a Goofy story become like, oh, very serious, like, oh, it could have been anything. It could have been anything that got his eye, and he really played it off. But can we just say for a second, Nick Fury did not flinch in that incident. He was like, yeah, he covered his eye, but he didn't even seem like hurt. And it always like caught me off guard. But I know I love Goose. I was just like, you can't not love that cat. And I guess it ended up falling in love with Carol and Nick. It was like, you know what? You could be cool.
You know what the thing is so funny? It's like people really hated that, right? They like really hated that that's the reason why Nick Fury's eye is messed up. And it's like, I get it, right? If you're a really big comic book fan and everything, you are going to sit there and be like, this is so stupid, whatever, right? But to me, I thought it was hilarious because it literally was Marvel, like, because people for years were like, why is Nick Fury's eye fucked up, And I'm sure, people for years have been making up stories and Marvel's like, I know that you have all these, like, crazy theories and how, like, epically Nick lost his eye, but we're going to make it that, like, a cat scratched his eye. To me, I just think it's hilarious.
I love it. I was going to say, on that note, the initial scene with Talos, I was like, this is the coolest. Like, it had the Kylo Ren effect on me at the beginning with Talos, where I was like, this is going to be such a good villain. This is very kinky. And then you're like, he's nice? Or he took the helmet off? What? Okay. I mean, he's still really cool. But I liked him better whenever he was an asshole.
I will agree with that, where it's like, I love the way Ben Mendelsohn plays Talos. Like, I'm glad, I guess, in the end that he ended up working alongside Nick and Carol, and actually that character is returning for a Disney Plus show called Secret Invasion. So it's like, yeah, that's really cool. But you're right. When they first introduce a character, you think that he's like the ultimate bad guy. And he's so good at being that. And so when he does this like switch where it's like, I'm not really the bad guy. I'm just like searching for a way
I'm
to...
really soft, gentle.
Yeah.
I'm a really good guy. I'm kind of goofy and fun. And I'm like, I love him. Don't get me wrong. I still love him. I'm not being super critical. But the villain,
No, I know. And so what Brittany is referring to is when we first saw the movie The Force Awakens, right? Kylo Ren with his helmet on, he's like this badass villain. You're like, ooh, yeah, like this guy
the voice.
Yeah, this guy is like rivaling, Darth Vader and shit. And then he takes his helmet off. And, like Adam Driver, I tell you this, right? I like Adam Driver as an actor. But he was really young at that point when The Force Awakens came out. So he was so baby-faced that you're like, I can't take this shit seriously.
Right. No, I had the exact same reaction where I was just like, because we had the cool voice, going on, and I was like, this is so good, this is great, and then it's like, put the helmet back on, please. I know it's fucked up, but you feel me.
I do. But yeah, so Goose from Captain Marvel, I don't know, again, anything with the orange cat, which is so funny. So in the movie, obviously, a lot of the scenes were with a fake cat. Like, what they did was literally just have a stuffed cat and obviously animated it later. But for some scenes, it was a real cat. And apparently, Brie Larson, who plays Carol Danvers, is allergic to cats. So, it's funny because this cat is like stealing the hearts of millions. And she's like, yeah, the cat was cool, but like I was definitely allergic to it every time.
I was dying.
Yeah, I was dying. It's like, I'm glad you all enjoyed it, but I was like, dead.
Right. I'm glad you enjoyed my suffering.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, Goose from Captain Marvel, I certainly hope that we get to see Goose again. Captain Marvel did take place in the 90s, and by the time we get to the sequel, it will be in present day. But Goose is a flurkin, so who knows what the lifespan of a flurkin is, so hopefully we get to see more.
Right? I mean, they can't just he's like Rocket. They're like, I wasn't expecting to love you so much, but you can't, stay out of it. You're part of the family now.
Oh my God, can I tell you really quick, right? Because I don't know who, like, most of these characters are in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like, I've learned who they are through the movies. So when they did the trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy, I obviously said to myself, I have no idea who these characters are, but, Star-Lord looks really cool, and Drax looks really cool, and Gamora looks really cool. I went and saw that movie, and I walked out, and I'm like, why did I walk out loving a fucking raccoon in a tree so much?
I know.
Like, why are they my favorite characters?
Why? No, Watiti did that one, right? He did the first one.
No,
Taika?
No. Guardians of the Galaxy, both 1 and 2, were done by James Gunn, who also is the director of the upcoming The Suicide Squad movie.
Then you know what? They just made my hopes even better. What movies did Taika do before? Like before he did
Thor
what'd you say?
Ragnarok? Because that's what Taika Waititi did. He did Thor Ragnarok, and he's coming back to
I knew he did Thor Ragnarok, but I thought he had done another Marvel movie before that one.
No. Thor Ragnarok was his first Marvel movie, and he is directing the 4th Thor movie, Thor Love and Thunder.
He just took him in so much of a better direction, because I hated the Thor movies when I first watched. I was like, these are awful. Loki's literally the only good thing about this. And then they were like, oh, okay, now it's good. Because they made him not take himself so serious. He had no personality. He was just like, I'm big, dumb, and beautiful, and strong.
No, literally Thor had no personality beforehand. Like, literally the only saving grace to those Thor movies were Loki. And in the first 2 Avengers films, Thor was literally my least favorite character. I literally couldn't care less about his, arc, because I'm just like, you really have, as you said, no personality. So I remember when they did the trailer for Thor Ragnarok, I remember thinking, like, oh, this looks really good. Like, this looks really different than what we've seen. I love, like, whoever Hela is. Loki's obviously in it. And, Thor looks good, but, my expectations are low. And then I walked out and I was like, holy shit, Thor is great. And then I remember, prior to Thor Ragnarok coming out, there was this rumor that Infinity War would focus mostly on Thanos and Thor. And I remember sitting there going, oh God, why is it going to focus on Thor? I really couldn't care less. And then after Ragnarok, and then when Ragnarok came, I was like, I can't wait for more Thor.
Oh, I know. I went from like, I don't care. Because everybody was just like, he's beautiful. And I'm like, yes, but what else? What else does he have? What? Give me something more.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'm really excited for whatever Taika Waititi is going to do in Thor: Love and Thunder. Love James Gunn doing the first two Guardians of the Galaxy movies. James Gunn is the director of the upcoming The Suicide Squad, which is the sequel to the 2016 Suicide Squad movie, and that looks really good. And James Gunn will return to direct the third Guardians of the Galaxy. James Gunn was the actor that, remember, a couple of years ago, Marvel let him go for some like tweets from 11, 12 years ago resurfacing. And so they let him go. And we all thought, oh my God, what's happening to Guardians of the Galaxy? And then literally like 6 months later, Marvel's like, JK, we're bringing James Gunn back.
Right? How would you feel like being like loving those movies enough to go back to the people that fired you just so you could keep doing them?
Well, it's so funny because Jawan has this theory. I remember him saying it a few years ago. He had this theory that Marvel never really, quote unquote, fired him. They just said it for public image because people were like freaking out like, oh, James Gunn said all these things like 12 years ago in a tweet and everything, you know, and blah, blah. And, you know, back when like comedy and humor was this like big, huge shock value thing, right? So It's like he came under fire. So Jawan's theory is Disney was like, all right, we have to say we're going to fire you. You're obviously not fired. Like, you're going to come back, but we have to say that we are. And then why don't you take some time off social media? Because James Gunn literally didn't, like, tweet for, like, a solid 6-7 months. And it's like, so why don't you take some time off, and then we'll bring you back.
It'll be your big finish. Yeah, you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
And I know it sounds like crazy, but I'm sitting there going, like, why would James Gunn come back? Like, why wouldn't he feel, like, offended in some way? You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. You know?
No, I agree.
And
I would have, it would hurt my pride.
Well, I was going to say, and he seemingly has no hurt feelings over it. Any interview, he, like, never says anything negative about it. He's like, you know, the whole thing happened with Disney, and then DC called me, and then I was going to direct Suicide Squad, and Marvel's like, we want you to come back, but you can finish your DC film, and then you can work on our film. Like, we'll be super understandable and shit. You don't have to, like, walk away from the Suicide Squad. And I'm like, it just all sounds too peachy keen.
Right? Where you're like, how are you not having hard feelings? Because I would be one salty bitch.
I would too. But anyway, we only have Brittany for another 15 minutes. No, not 15, 25 minutes. We have Brittany for another 25 minutes. We got 2 on our list left. Let's power through them. Brittany, what's your number 2?
I'm going to go with, have you seen Zootopia?
Yeah. I love Zootopia.
I love Zootopia. I'm going to go with Judy Hopps.
Yes, Judy.
Because she's so cute. I feel like I can relate with her. Because, you know, the whole thing with Zootopia, you know, you have carnivores and you have herbivores and omnivores, you know, all living together. And there's kind of that stigma that carnivores are more aggressive, more alpha, more like aggressive. Oh, they want to eat the herbivores, which, I mean, you get it.
That's the like animal. That's the animal food chain. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it was like, you know, with Judy, she really wanted to be a cop, and the whole thing with that is that, you know, it was very much a bunnies don't become. Well, she's a rabbit, but rabbits don't become cops because it was more of like a carnivore job, I think, too, wasn't it? Or even like omnivores, something, you know, like dogs, you know, lions, you know, all those become cops, but not rabbits. But she ended up being like the top of her class. You know, she really tried hard, you know, so she was like, oh, I want to do my dream and I want to do this. I can do it. And, you know, she does reach her dream, but, you know, her struggling, you know, with what she was going through and how, you know, and I think you kind of have, it kind of relates to like what we go through now about struggling in a job, say that's not always quite a fit for you. You know, we do have women going into, you know, historically male professions now, which, you know, they've been doing that, but it's becoming more widespread. You know, that's kind of like how STEM is for me. It's like when you're like, I'm in a huge class. I'm one of 2 women that are in this class. You're kind of like, well, I don't exactly feel like I'm exactly like the others, but, you know, we got to change it a little bit. So, you know, for me, I was like, oh, it's so nice to see Judy that's like, I'm not going to let my size, you know, or any of that, or how I was born to, you know, affect what I want to do. And I just thought she was so cute, and she's so strong, and she just makes me want to snuggle her. She's so cute.
Oh my God. What you would call is like, I loved Zootopia. I didn't watch it right away, right? Like, I didn't watch it when it came out, but then when I got Disney Plus, I was looking on Disney Plus trying to see what to watch, and it was like Zootopia, and I said, okay, people really like this movie. I loved it. Holy shit, I loved freaking Zootopia.
It's so good. The animation quality is so good, too.
The animation quality is so good, and I was so surprised at, say, like, the social commentary I feel like it was making. Like, it was very, like, you know, very now, right?
Yeah.
Which I think Disney does well sometimes. They don't always hit the mark, but they do well sometimes using animals, obviously, to convey their message. And it was like super, you know, oh, you know, you can't be in the police force, and her feeling super down about herself, and, you know, wondering, you know, is she doing the right thing, and everything to try to say, like, push her out. But, like, I love then what you find, like, the mystery that she solves. Like, I love her. She's so positive in a field where everything is against her. And I love even showing the moments that are very, like, quote unquote human, where it's like she does doubt herself, but it's like, oh my God, I love her. I love Judy Hopps. You make me want to watch Zootopia again. It's been so long.
I know. Well, you know, and also, like, you know, the prejudice that came with it, because you have where Judy was, you know, the one fox, like, attacked her, you know, when she was little, or, like, bit her or something, and she was really scared of that kid, you know, because it is like, oh, it's so easy just to kind of die in that world if somebody loses control. And then the fox ended up, like, working for her family, you know, on the carrot farm, and, you know, him apologizing and saying, you know, he's always felt really bad about it and all these things, and her forgiving him, and I'm just like, ugh.
I loved her, like, friendship with the fox in the movie. And I like how they didn't go and say a romantic direction.
Oh, the other fox, Nick Wilde.
Yeah, you know. He was a bit of an I forget his name. He was a bit of an asshole, right, to her?
Yeah, he was.
But I loved that, what you would call it. Like, I loved their relationship with each other, and I liked that they weren't romantically involved. It was a friendship. Yeah, Nick Wilde. Oh my God, you know who voices him? Do you know Jason Bateman?
Oh, I know the name. Relate him to something for me real quick.
Oh my God, he's been in, like, everything. Ozark, Horrible Bosses. He's been in so much.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
If you look up pictures, I'm looking up pictures now of Zootopia and just remembering how much I love this movie. My favorite frickin' scene is the sloth, because it's so, like...
Oh my God.
It's so reminiscent of, like, going to the DMV. Like, just how torturous it is.
I will say, I know, Arkansas is definitely going to be a lot different than New York. But, you know, we sit there for quite a bit. Not like one of my bosses was like, yeah, when I was in California, you had to wait a month to get, like, your driver's license done because blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, shit. But I walked in there. It took me 5 seconds. They answered me like, yeah, we'll take your picture. And I was like, how are y'all doing this so fast? And
there's like 5 people in your town.
Whatever. We have 12,000. Thank you.
Keep talking. I'm just looking up something.
We have 12,000 people. It's a lot. But the DMV in there. I was like, oh, how'd you do this so fast? And they're like, oh, we just got people that really wanted to work this time around because they had a problem with I guess some people there were being like very did not like existing there, and so they had got new people, and these people were really fast, and they were just like in and out, and I was like, well, holy shit.
It freaking last time I went when I turned 30 and I had to get my license renewed, it took me like 3 hours to do it. It was so annoying.
Could you imagine if you didn't get up front and you forgot a piece of paper that you needed?
It was so annoying. They made you go to like a million different, like, I never experienced that, but I literally had to go to a million different windows because I was getting the enhanced license because it's like, I think as of like 2021 in October, it's going to be a requirement to get if you want to say travel, even if like you're just traveling to another state, So I was like, all right, let me get it now while I'm 30. Oh my, it was just so much. I don't want to like focus on it, but anyway, the population of Yonkers estimated as of 2019 is over 200,000.
That's chump change.
Well, let's look up
that's not. Don't look up my population. It's fine. It's fine, Dean. No, it's fine. Yours is just slightly bigger than my town. It's fine.
Well, I was gonna look up the New York City population is literally over 18 million people. It's closer to like 19 million people. So
it's fine. It's fine.
Let's look up Arkansas really quick.
Well, no.
Batesville, Arkansas. I hope our listeners are enjoying. It says as of 2019, you guys are 10,706 people. Wow.
That's at least 12,000 now.
Oh my god. Anyways. Oh man. Let's move on to our number one on our list of the top 10 best cats and dogs and other animals in movies and TV shows. We have Thomas O'Malley from the Aristocats, Cusco from Emperor's New Groove, Bagheera from Jungle Book, Seymour from Futurama, Sassy from Homeward Bound, Salem from Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Mufasa from Lion King, Goose from Captain Marvel, Judy from Zootopia, and my favorite, and I am putting Zero from Nightmare Before Christmas because he is a dog. Although a ghost dog.
That's awesome.
We all know that Zero, listen, they really say, like, dog, right, is a man's best friend. And in Nightmare Before Christmas, that is shown to be true even in death. Even though Zero is a little ghost doggy, he is so loyal to Jack. He just, he is concerned when Jack is sad. He follows Jack around and everything. And Jack loves Zero. I mean, he plays fetch with Zero with his own ribcage. I mean, the normal stuff that we all do. No, seriously.
Yeah.
I remember growing up and watching Nightmare Before Christmas and like loving Zero, and that was my expectation of what dogs should be. Even though he's like a ghost.
And then you got Lady.
Yeah, no, ladybug. But I don't know. In the movie, like, Zero is such a like great dog and everything, and he's so loyal to Jack. And I love. There's a part of the movie where, because if you haven't seen the movie, which is like so difficult for me to fathom that someone hasn't seen this movie, but if you haven't seen the movie, really quick, the whole plot is that there are towns that represent, say, different holidays. So Halloween Town is run by Jack Skeleton, who is literally a skeleton. But after, an undisclosed amount of time of being the king of Halloween Town, he wants to branch out. He becomes obsessed with Christmas, and he wants to essentially become Santa Claus. So there's a part where he is literally going to go with his own skeleton reindeer and deliver presents to the children. But Sally, who is his romantic interest in the movie, doesn't think it's a good idea. So she tries to set fog to make sure that Jack can't see. Well, what does Zero have? But a nose that's red and that can shine bright. And, like Rudolph, and Jack's like, better to light my way. I don't know. I love Jack. And I love that, the townspeople know that Zero is always with Jack, because it's like when they see Zero, they get excited because they're like, Zero! They know Jack is coming back because Zero's there, or if, they don't see Jack. It's like if they see Zero without Jack, they're like, oh, something's wrong. I don't know. I love this dog, little ghost dog. I need to know a background story, did Zero and Jack meet after death? Did they know each other before death and got reunited in death? What's going on here with their relationship?
I know. I've always wondered that too. I'm like, who were you before and why were you so fucking tall?
Yeah, that's another thing. It's like, you sit there in this Halloween Town, you sit there and go, oh, these creatures were always this creature, right? But in one of the songs, Jack goes, but since I am dead. And it's like, well, at some point he had to have been alive in order to be dead.
You can't be dead if you're alive, yeah.
So
that makes sense to me.
That makes sense to me. So I'm like, you know what? Instead of a remake, I need a follow-up movie that explains Jack's origins.
I know. I agree. I that's why the people have the theories about Corpse Bride.
I've seen that they say that the character from Corpse Bride was Jack, but I kind of don't like that theory because that character was so meek and mild-mannered, and Jack, even though it's nice, can be quite scary unless he literally
he's very boisterous,
right? My favorite scene is always when he tells Oogie Boogie, you have been so disrespectful to my friends, and I'm just like, no! Get him, Jack, get him. Get him. But what do you think about Zero taking the #1 spot here?
I agree. I love Zero. Ever since you showed me the movie, I was like, okay, I understand, and I see now why people love Zero so much. I've seen the tattoos, I've seen the pop dolls, I've seen everything else.
For those who are first-time listeners or didn't know this about Brittany and I became friends. Oh God, how many freaking years ago at this point?
8 years ago.
8 years ago, and she came to New York and she was like, I've never seen Nightmare Before Christmas. And I'm like, whoa. We need to rectify this right fucking now. And because I couldn't believe that you didn't grow up with it. I grew up with A Nightmare Before Christmas, but maybe it's literally because I literally grew up with it because this woman, Aunt Lil, who watched me growing up, had all these VHS tapes from her son. And that was one of them. So it's, that's how I watched the movie. But anyway, I also did that with Brittany with the Rocky Horror Picture Show. She goes, I've never seen Rocky Horror Picture Show. And I sat and I go, sit the hell down. We're watching this movie.
I know. And funnily enough, do you know what today is? Today is the anniversary of the very first time you came to Arkansas. I got a memory thing. I got a memory thing on my Facebook today. That was and I was like, oh man, it's been so long.
Oh my God, look at that. Look at that. Yeah.
God, I can't believe I'm still hanging around your shit.
Same here.
Further in life than this.
You bitch. But yeah, so that is our podcast of the top 10 best cats and dogs and other animals in movies and TV shows. I hope all those who are listening will tell us, what are some of your favorite animals in movies and TV shows. I know we did a lot of cartoons, but we're 90s babies. And as you know, the 90s had the best cartoon movies ever. So, and Disney likes showing a lot of their stuff, say, through cartoons. But Brittany, before we wrap up tonight, are there any honorable mentions that you can think of that you want to just shout out?
I was gonna do the saddest movie ever, where the red fern grows. Well, Fox and the Hound would be good, but where the red fern grows.
I never watched that.
It's basically about a brother-sister duo of dogs. It's like it's live action, and the dogs don't speak, but they're raised from birth, and one of them dies during like an accident, and the other one dies of a broken heart. And when they bury their bodies together, a red fern grows over their graves. It's basically the story, and you go along their life as them as puppies.
That just made me really sad. Thanks.
Yeah, there you go, bitch. I just summed up the entire plot in 5 seconds.
Well, mine is The Hound from Fox and the Hound. Lady and the Tramp from Lady and the Tramp.
Oh, that's a good one. 101
Dalmatians. Whatchamacallit? Balto. Did you ever see Balto? Loved Balto.
I've seen all the Baltos.
Oh, I only saw the first one. But, based on a true story, by the way, which is so cool. By the way, a movie where people were, really excited to get a vaccine.
I know. I wonder what those times were like.
Where people cheered and, couldn't wait for something that would help an illness out.
Yeah, what's funny is I like how, I know it's awful to laugh about, not laughing about, like, the badness of it, but it is very humorous that people are like, no, I'm not going to get a vaccine. And then the moment the Delta variant starts hitting Arkansas, our vaccine suddenly started increasing. And what's bad is we have more than enough, but people are like, no, it's fine. Then the Delta variant hit, and they're like, maybe on second thought, maybe I should go ahead and do that.
Well, we watch the news, and I know we don't have that much time, but we watch the news, and not to get, say, too political here or anything, but, we watched the news that was saying, oh, the new Delta variant is hitting, some of the states, and literally we're like, oh, shit, oh, shit. And they're like, yeah, but people who are vaccinated are okay. It's just all the people who aren't vaccinated. I'm like, oh, good. High five. We got vaccinated. Hey, high five, science.
Science. Oh, my
God. Bill Nye is proud. You know why? Us 90s kids, we grew up on Bill Nye. So there you go.
I know. Oh, my God.
So stupid. Anyway.
I love you.
Brittany, I'm so happy that you're back and that we're doing the top 10 and everything.
I am too.
I know this episode we had a few pauses and a few things happened throughout, but, I think we still, regardless, did a pretty good damn job. So let everyone know where they can find you and what you got going on next.
I was going to say, you can always find me on Twitch at Itty Bitty Brit. I'm back in the swing of things, and I'm feeling better than ever. I had hit a slight rut, as we all do when we're doing content creation. You just kind of fall into those times sometimes. But I'm back, and I've been playing Monster Hunter, which is basically an egg hatching simulator, and hopefully going to get my VR hooked up back to streaming some scary games, even though I'm a pussy, so
Please make sure that you check out Brittany. She's a very dedicated streamer who gives a lot of her time to entertain everyone. As for me, hopefully you guys are all subscribed to our YouTube channel, Geek Vibes Podcast, or if you're listening to this on Spotify or any of the other podcast networks, thank you so much. Just, follow us over at Twitter and Instagram, Geek Vibes Nation. We are also going to be dipping our toes into Twitch. Which is Geek Vibes Nation _ in between the words. So make sure you check that out as well. We got some good stuff going on. Speaking about gaming, I just put out a Tea Time with Tia where I voiced my opinion of saying that GTA 4 is better than GTA 5. I know. Oh
my gosh, I love it.
I'm interested in seeing what people think about that, but thank you all for listening to Geek Vibes Nation, the top 10. We will be back next week and all that good stuff. So everyone, you have yourself a great freaking night. Bye.
Bye.
If you've been a renter, you know it's stressful to find the perfect place. But Zillow Rentals make it easy. They have filters for pretty much everything, so you can find a rental that's big enough for entertaining your friends, but small enough they won't crash all weekend. Find your sweet spot on ZillowRentals.com.